Now, in Job chapter 28, we're continuing this conversation, continuing what Job is saying to Bildad and his friends, using some metaphorical terms to help them understand that, while wickedness gets away with things in this life, the next life is what matters more. And that's where you're going to run into the problem. It doesn't matter how prosperous you could get in this life with wickedness, you'll not get away with it in the next life. You're going to have problems with it. So let's start with what Job's saying here. Verse 1, surely there is a vein for the silver and a place for gold where they find it. Iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of the stone. He setteth an end to darkness, and searcheth out all perfection, the stones of darkness and the shadow of death. The flood breaketh out from the inhabitant, even the waters forgotten the foot. They are dried up, they are gone away from men. As for the earth, out of it cometh bread, and under it is turned up, as it were, fire. Stones of it are the place of sapphires, and it hath dust of gold. Now, this is kind of an interesting idea that Job is bringing forth in these verses here, talking about how, metals, which are used for making tools, and more importantly, money, gold and silver, is that there's resources in the earth. The earth has resources. The earth has these opportunities for us that we can measure out and we can grab them. But God knows the limits of all of mortality. He doesn't have the same limits. We are way more limited than he is in what's going on here. It's funny, verse 5, as for the earth, out of it cometh bread. Bread, of course, is made with wheat. Wheat grows out of the earth as we cultivate it. And under it is turned up, as it were, fire, understanding that inside the earth is lava, molten lava deep inside the earth. So kind of interesting thing that he talks about here. And he gets in some animal analogies with earth here, starting in verse 7. There is a path which no fowl knoweth, and which the vulture's eye hath not seen. The lion's whelps have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. He putteth forth his hand upon the rock. He overturneth the mountains by the roots. Now, who can overturn a mountain by the roots? That's God. Verse 9 is about God. So he's saying that there is a path, there is things to understand about this world that no animal or human knows, but God understands them, basically. In verse 12, he is, of course, God. He cutteth out rivers among the rocks. His eye seeth every precious thing. He bindeth the floods from overflowing, and the thing that is hid bringeth he forth to light. So he's mentioning that, the earth has amazing resources, but they're finite. There's a limit to them, and God is unlimited. He has a very different standard. There's this world, and then there's the higher spiritual world where God is. And that God knows everything that's going on in this world. He understands, we have to, if we want to see what's underneath a mountain, we have to dig a big tunnel to get through and get underneath the mountain to find stuff. God knows what's there. He can pick up the mountain and move it anytime he wants. He knows where things are in the earth. He understands everything. He created everything. And so God's ways are not our ways. There's a difference there. Verse 12, but where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man knoweth not the price thereof. Neither is it found in the land of the living. The depth saith, it is not in me, and the sea saith, it is not in me. So he's talking about wisdom. Where can we find wisdom? There's great treasures on this earth, great resources, but they're limited. God has an unlimited amount. He knows where everything is. He knows all the hidden things. He has a whole different perspective than the rest of us. And where should we find wisdom? Among the rocks and the things of nature. And he says, it's not there. You can't find this in the earth. You can't use mortal reasoning, mortal logic to understand God. Basically, you have to understand God from his perspective. Verse 15, it cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it. The exchange of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of pearls, or the price of wisdom is above rubies. So just pause for a second here. Still talking about wisdom. How can I find wisdom? Wisdom is more important than all the precious stones we have, even the gold of Ophir, basically, which is another Old Testament reference to a treasure trove of gold that a country has. But he says basically that this wisdom is greater than all the wealth of the world. In fact, in verse 19, he says, "The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall it be valued with pure gold. Whence then cometh wisdom, and where is the place of understanding? Seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living, and kept close from the fowls of the air. Destruction and death say, We have heard the fame thereof with our ears. God understandeth the way thereof, and he knoweth the place thereof." So nobody knows where it is. It doesn't come from this earth. The earth has no capacity for this grand wisdom. Even death and destruction say, we've heard about it, but we're not familiar with it. But God understands it, and he knows those ways. Verse 24, "For he looketh to the ends of the earth, and seeth under the whole heaven, to make the weight for the winds, and he weigheth the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain, and a way for the lightning of the thunder, then did he see it, and declare it. He prepared it, yea, he searched it out. And unto man he said, Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding." So he uses this entire chapter to talk about how mighty the earth is as far as wealth, and how God's ways are not our ways, and that we need to think about God. To understand God, we have to go to his level. We have to understand it from his point of view, not from ours, because it doesn't make sense. You can't buy this wisdom. You can't just own it. It's not for the wealthy only. It's not for only certain people to know. It is for everybody to know. And it's about approaching God to understand him, as he says in verse 28. The fear of the Lord. If you are afraid of God, it means you understand God and what he is about. So knowledge of God makes a big difference in our life, and it's something that is free. It doesn't need to be purchased with price at all. It is free, and it is accessible to everybody. That's really what he's getting at here in this chapter, which is really cool. A good reminder for us that understanding God, coming to God, is something that we need to be doing. And it's free. There's nothing stopping us, honestly, but ourselves to get there. So we need to make those good choices and move in that right direction. As he says here, to depart from evil is understanding. If we move away from the worldly things, Babylon, and towards Zion, towards the good things, towards God, then that is understanding. That is helping us to be realize what's going on in this world, for what's really happening, basically, and what's really important, which encompasses this life and the next life together, basically. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next chapter.